All right, guys, in this video, we're going to practice, again, finding the discriminant and using that to say how many solutions there are. Now, there's three options for that. There could be two solutions, either two nice numbers or two crazy decimals. There could be one solution, which is one double root, or there could be no solutions. Let's get started. In these problems, I am going to ask you to state two answers, the discriminant and how many solutions there are. So you do need to tell me what the actual discriminant is. And if you've already forgotten from our first video, the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. So that's all we're doing today, b squared minus 4ac. No square root sign, no b squared minus 4ac. To find our a, b, and c, we need our equation to be in standard form, which this one is. And so I can say my a is the 4 in front of the x squared. My b is the 4 in front of the x. And then my c is the plus 1 at the end. And then we plug them in. So we've been practicing this. We practiced this in our live class on Tuesday. So you plug all the numbers in, 4 squared minus 4 times 4 times 1. Right here, we're going to do two separate calculations. We're going to do 4 squared, which is 16. And we're going to do 4 times 4 times 1, which is also 16. So on our second step, we get 16 minus 16. And for our final step, we get the number 0. Now, the number 0 is called the discriminant. So that answers the first question, find the discriminant. And then you can look back at your notes from your first video to determine how many solutions it has. Remember, when the discriminant is 0, that means that we're square rooting a 0, and we would get 1 solution. Okay, so here are my two answers. My discriminant is the number 0, and if I was to solve this problem, there would be 1 solution, 1 double root. Let's try another one. In this problem, again, it's asking you how many solutions does this have. So it does not want the actual answers. It just wants to know how many answers there are. Now, unfortunately, this problem is not in standard form, so I will need to change it to standard form before I start working with it. And to change it to standard form, I'm just going to plus the 5 to the other side, like this. Now I can find my a, b, and c, so that I can plug it in to b squared minus 4ac. So my a is 2, my b is negative 3, and my c has turned into a positive 5. When I moved it from the right side to the left side, now it's a positive 5. So that's really important because it'll actually totally change your answer if you leave it a negative 5. Step 1, plug it into b squared minus 4ac. Step 2, do two calculations. Negative 3 squared, we talked about this on Tuesday, it turns into a positive 9. Now, if you're doing it on your calculator, you need to make sure that you are putting it in a parentheses. So right above the 8 and the 9 are some parentheses. So make sure that you're typing in a parentheses, and then the negative button is down here below the number 3. So negative 3. And then I'm going to close my parentheses. And then I'm going to hit the square button. Okay, negative 3 squared. And if you type it in correctly, it will tell you positive 9. Now, if you don't use the parentheses and you just type in negative 3 squared, it's going to tell you the answer is negative 9, which is not correct. So your calculator does not understand that you want to square the negative with the 3 unless you put parentheses around it. All right, 4 times 2 is 8, and 8 times 5 is 40. So on my second step, I have 9 minus 40. And then for my final answer, I get negative 31. This is called the discriminant. But that question wanted how many real solutions does it have? So if you look at your first video notes, you will see that when the discriminant is negative, there are no solutions, 0 solutions. So remember, that means that we're taking the square root of a negative number, which is not mathematically possible. So this would have 0 solutions. One more example, and then we're done. In this one, again, I want you to state the discriminant and then tell me how many solutions there are. And just like on our previous problem, this is not in standard form, so I will need to change it. I'm going to move the 3x over to the left-hand side by subtracting it. And then I do need to put it in a very specific spot. So make sure that when you're moving it over, it's in descending order. So it needs to have the x squared first, the x is in the middle, and the constant is at the end. Don't just tack that negative 3x at the end, because then you might accidentally get your a, b, and c wrong as well. So make sure it's in the correct order. All right, in this one, my a is 2, my b is negative 3, and my c is negative 10. And for today, we are only doing b squared minus 4ac. Now, we just talked about in the last problem how the negative 3 squared will turn into a positive 9, so hopefully you have positive 9 for that. And then I think we talked last week about when your c is negative. So 4 times 2 is 8, and 8 times 10 is 80. But the subtraction sign in front of the 4 and the negative sign with the 10, those are going to cancel out. And so it's going to turn into an addition problem. So make sure to pay attention to your negatives. Since I had a double negative, it changes from subtracting to adding. And then 9 plus 8 is 89. If you look at your notes from the first video, you will see that when your discriminant is positive, that means you will get 2 solutions. 2 solutions. That means we are square rooting a positive number. And that will give me my 2 answers, which is normal. That's what usually happens. Okay? If we want to get super fancy, we can say that we're going to get 2 irrational answers, which means we're going to get 2 decimal answers, because I don't know the square root of 89. So if the discriminant is a number you don't know the square root of, then you're going to get decimal answers. If it's a number you do know the square root of, then you'll get rational answers, or whole numbers, or fractions. This concludes all of our lessons for this chapter.